Bonjour, this is Madame Hunter, and today we will be exploring French culture through literature. To be more specific, through the work of the great author Victor Hugo. It is important to examine his work and its portrayals to determine how it represents Hugo himself and affected French society in the time when it was written. This is Victor Hugo. He is the world-renowned author of great French literature such as the famous Les Miserables. Though a writer during the Romantic era, Hugo often wrote of darker subjects than romance, as the term might have us believe. As a rampant Republican, Hugo very actively sought to point out social injustices of the lower classes and the outcast. One of his best stories that displays this is Notre de Paris, or the Hunchback of Notre Dame, as it is known in English. Hugo displayed a strong need to symbolically represent social concerns of his time in his literature. Though the story is set in the 15th century, it was written between two major French revolutions. Hugo was interested in a time which seemed to him to be on the edge between two types of society. Because of this, Hugo chose as the main stage for his tale the famous cathedral Notre de Paris. The cathedral represented many of the themes brought up in the novel, such as passion and religion. For Hugo, Notre Dame as a setting embodied the freedom of ideas through architecture, set against the censorship often shown literature before the age of the printing press. We will look at two different forms of Hugo's famous work put into action. The first being the French musical from 1998, Notre Dame de Paris. Of the two versions we will see, the events of this musical remain closest to those of the novel. Our intrigue is set in motion with the Feast of Fools. At this large festival, our main character, Quasimodo the Hunchback, emerges from his lonely bell tower in the cathedral to join in the festivities of the city below him, only to be elected the Pope of Fools, a title of superficial power, but more so of ridicule. As the crowd taunts and jeers at Quasimodo, Esmeralda the gypsy crowns him pope, and this marks Quasimodo falling dangerously in love with her. Noting his presence, Quasimodo's guardian Frollo, the priest, becomes angered, but also takes strong interest to the point of obsession in the gypsy girl. This is the beginning of the love triangle that is soon to bring in another character, Phoebus the soldier, who has already taken interest in Esmeralda at the beginning of the musical. He's the only one of the three that she also takes interest in, but her feelings of love are only met with feelings of conquest by the already engaged Phoebus. Jealousy and deception come to a head when Frollo frames Esmeralda for the stabbing of Phoebus, which effectively ends their relationship, sending Phoebus back to the arms of his fiancée, and Esmeralda is made to confess to the crime she did not commit against her lover. Esmeralda awaits her turn at the gallows in prison, but soon joins her similarly jailed guardian Clopin to rally her gypsy brethren to fight against Frollo and his army. It is to no avail, as Clopin is mortally wounded in the fight, and Esmeralda captured to be executed as originally planned. After Esmeralda is hanged and Quasimodo is racked with grief, Quasimodo confronts Frollo. He does manage to avenge Esmeralda even though she never returned his love, as Frollo admits his guilt in insanity, and Quasimodo pushes him to his death from the cathedral tower. The musical version does try to include more of the gypsy and outcast elements of the novel, such as the character Gringoire, a wanderer who is participating and commenting on the events of the musical. It's through his recounting of events that the story begins and ends in the musical. The second portrayal of the novel comes in the much-beloved Disney version entitled The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Needless to say, this family-friendly film had to change many aspects of the original novel to suit its audience. This animated feature starts in a similar way to the musical, but offers different elements to entertain children, such as talking gargoyles. So again, the Feast of Fools sets the main plot in motion, with the crowning of Quasimodo as the Pope, or in this case, the King of Fools. Esmeralda still becomes the object of everyone's affection, but this time Phoebus is a single man, free to return her love. As a result, the elements of jealousy, lust, and selfishness are reserved for only Lord Frollo, while Quasimodo remains the loyal but slightly more loved and appreciated friend of the gypsy. Many of the other events in the film are close to those of the musical, but the plot and cast were simplified and cleansed to make their intentions more clear and child-appropriate. Many characters that are omitted or changed in the Disney version include Gringoire and Clopin, who were melded into one for this film. Where the musical sought to stay true to Hugo's novel by keeping the sad ending, the Disney version saw a more uplifting end. There is one bad guy, Lord Frollo, and he is the one to take the literal fall from the tower, while Esmeralda and Phoebus are united in love and Quasimodo lives knowing he has true friends. So how on earth did we get from Hugo's ideals on social equality and love of architecture to 3 gimmicking gargoyles? Was upholding Hugo's values even a goal of the musical or the animated versions? I suggest taking a look at each version so you can best choose which one you like better and how you would justify your choice to others. Would Victor Hugo be happy with your choice? Keep these and other questions in mind when considering these 2 portrayals set against each other and against the original work of Hugo. I hope you enjoyed this lesson,